CDL Manual Section 5 Air Brakes Intro. The brake system that applies and releases the brakes when the driver uses the brake pedal is the A. Service brake system. B. Emergency brake system. C. Parking brake system. D. None of the above. CDL Manual Section 5 Air Brakes Intro. The brake pedal in an air brake system. A. Is to be used as a footrest during normal driving. B. Controls the speed of the air compressor. C. Controls the air pressure applied to put on the brakes. D. Is connected to slack adjusters by a series of rods and linkages. CDL Manual Section 5 Air Brakes Intro. The service brake system. A. Is an official vehicle inspection. B. Applies and releases the brakes by using the brake pedal under normal driving. C. Are the valves that keep the air tank pressure serviced. D. Is only on vehicles with hydraulic brakes. CDL Manual Section 5 Air Brakes Intro. Modern air brake systems combine three different systems. They are the service brakes, the parking brakes, and the A. S-cam brakes. B. Drum brakes. C. Foot brakes. D. Emergency brakes. CDL Manual Section 5.1.1 Air Compressor. The air compressor is connected to the engine through A. Gears. B. Hoses. C. V-belt. D. Gears or a V-belt. CDL Manual Section 5.1.1 Air Compressor. Compressed air is stored A. In the hoses. B. In the engine compartment. C. In the fuel tank. D. In the storage tank. CDL Manual Section 5.1.2 Air Compressor Governor. The air compressor governor controls A. When the brakes should be applied. B. When the air compressor pumps air into the storage tanks. C. When the warning light is activated. D. When the air is released from the tank. CDL Manual Section 5.1.2 Air Compressor Governor. The governor allows the air to start pumping again when it reaches the cut-in level, or around A. 200 psi. B. 100 psi. C. 150 psi. D. 125 psi. CDL Manual Section 5.1.2 Air Compressor Governor. The governor stops pumping air when it reaches the cut-out level, or around? A. 125 psi. B. 200 psi. C. 225 psi. D. 175 psi. CDL Manual Section 5.1.2 Air Compressor Governor. The air compressor governor controls A. When air is pumped into the air tanks. B. Air pressure applied to the brakes. C. The speed of the air compressor. D. When the brake chambers release pressure. CDL Manual Section 5.1.3 Air Storage Tanks. If your air compressor stops working, A. You will lose your brakes immediately. B. The brakes will immediately lock up. C. You'll still have air pressure left in the air tanks. D. Your brakes won't be affected. CDL Manual Section 5.1.4 Air Tank Drains. Air tanks should be drained A. At the end of each day or shift. B. To keep sludge from clogging brake system valves. C. Manually when automatic devices fail. D. All of the above. CDL Manual Section 5.1.4 Air Tank Drains. Why drain water from the compressed air tanks? A. To keep from fouling the air compressor oil. B. Water can freeze in cold weather and cause brake failure. C. The low boiling point of water reduces braking power. D. Water overcools the compressor. CDL Manual Section 5.1.4 Air Tank Drains. Oil and water usually collect in compressed air tanks. If you do not have an automatic tank drain, when should you drain the air tanks? A. After every working day. B. After every 4 hours of service. C. Once a week. D. Every other week. CDL Manual Section 5.1.5 Alcohol Evaporator. Some air brake systems have an alcohol evaporator which helps A. Reduce the risk of ice in the air brake valves during cold weather. B. Remove oil from the air lines. C. Reduce the risk of water in the air brake valves in warm weather. D. Remove fuel from the air lines. CDL Manual Section 5.1.5 Alcohol Evaporator. If your vehicle has an alcohol evaporator, it is there to A. Reduce the risk of ice in air brake valves in cold weather. B. Eliminate the need for daily tank draining. C. Rid the wet tank of alcohol that condenses and sits at the bottom. D. Boost tank pressure the same way that superchargers boost. CDL Manual Section 5.1.5 Alcohol Evaporator. If your vehicle has an alcohol evaporator, every day during cold weather you should A. Clean the air filter with alcohol. B. Check and fill the alcohol level. C. Change the alcohol from a new bottle. D. Check the oil for alcohol content. CDL Manual Section 5.1.5 Alcohol Evaporator. Air tanks should be drained A. Once a week. B. Once a day. C. Every 4 hours. D. Every 2 or 3 days. CDL Manual Section 5.1.6 Safety Valve. When the safety valve releases air, it means that A. The pressure has exceeded 150 psi. B. Too much air is in the air compressor. C. Something is wrong and you should have it checked by a mechanic. D. All of the above. CDL Manual Section 5.1.6 Safety Valve. The safety valve in the air compressor tank is set to open at A. 150 psi. B. 200 psi. C. 100 psi. D. 175 psi. CDL Manual Section 5.1.7 The brake pedal. When you apply pressure to the brake pedal, you are A. Putting on the brakes. B. Releasing air pressure to the brakes. C. Reducing air in the tanks. D. Activating the safety valve. CDL Manual Section 5.1.8 Foundation Brakes. Which type of brake is the most common in commercial vehicles? A. Wedge brakes. B. Disc brakes. C. S-cam brakes. D. Drum brakes. CDL Manual Section 5.1.8 Foundation Brakes. Brake drums A. Are bolted to the wheels. B. Are located at each end of the vehicle's axles. C. Hold the brake shoes and linings. D. All of the above. CDL Manual Section 5.1.8 Foundation Brakes. The most common type of foundation brakes found on heavy vehicles is the A. Disc brakes. B. Wedge drum. C. S-cam drum. D. None of the above. CDL Manual Section 5.1.9 Supply Pressure Gauges. Vehicles with air brakes must have A. At least 2 air tanks. B. An air pressure gauge to show the pressure available for braking. C. An air pressure gauge to show air used by the brake chambers for braking. D. None of the above. CDL Manual Section 5.1.9 Supply Pressure Gauges. Air brake equipped vehicles must have A. A supply pressure gauge. B. An air use gauge. C. At least 2 brake heaters. D. A backup hydraulic system. CDL Manual Section 5.1.10 Application Pressure Gauge. The application pressure gauge shows the driver how much pressure A. Has been used on the trip. B. Is in the air tanks. C. Is being applied to the brakes. D. None of these. CDL Manual Section 5.1.10 Application Pressure Gauge. An application pressure gauge A. Shows how much air pressure you are applying to the brakes. B. Is connected to the generator. C. Releases air when you accelerate. D. Prevents brake failure. CDL Manual Section 5.1.11 Low Air Pressure Warning. The driver must be able to see a warning that is given before air pressure in the service air tanks falls below A. 80 psi, B. 40 psi, C. 20 psi, D. 60 psi. CDL Manual Section 5.1.11 Low Air Pressure Warning. All vehicles with air brakes are required to have a low pressure warning signal. This could be A. A red light. B. A wig-wag mechanical arm. C. A buzzer. D. Any one of the above. CDL Manual Section 5.1.14 Spring Brakes. What can legally hold a parking or emergency brake in position for a truck, tractor, or bus? A. Fluid pressure. B. Air pressure. C. Spring pressure. D. Any of the above. CDL Manual Section 5.1.14 Spring Brakes. The braking power of the spring brakes A. Can only be tested by highly trained brake service people. B. Depends on the adjustment of the service brakes. C. increases when the service brakes are hot. D. Is not affected by the condition of the service brakes. CDL Manual Section 5.1.14 Spring Brakes. During normal driving, spring brakes are usually held back by A. Spring pressure. B. Bolts or clamps. C. Centrifugal force. D. Air pressure. CDL Manual Section 5.1.15 Parking brake controls. Dual parking control valves. If your truck or bus has dual parking control valves, it means that you can use pressure from a separate tank to A. Balance the service brake system. B. Release the spring brakes to move a short distance. C. Stay parked without using up service air pressure. D. Apply more brake pressure if the main tank is getting low. CDL Manual Section 5.1.15 Parking brake controls. In air brake vehicles, the parking brakes should be used A. To hold your speed when going downhill. B. Whenever the vehicle is parked. C. As little as possible. D. Only during pre and post trip inspections.